Hello, everybody. Welcome to Let's Talk News with Letitia Romero, and that's me. And boy, do we have quite a bit to speak about today because it has been a full day. But I wanted to start by talking about Kamala Harris's new book. Did everybody rush out and get one? How about order it on Amazon? How about, like me, couldn't give a crap, and so just listen to other people talk about it, especially the Democrats? Well, tell me what you heard, what you think, what you feel about Kamala Harris writing a book, which basically trashes all the people who worked on her campaign and blames everybody but herself for losing. Hello, Mama. Good to have you. Hello, Debbie. Thanks for making it. You are fantastic. Number one fan. Number one comedian. It's great to have you here every day. Hello, Susan. Great to have you. Who else do we have? Yeah, nothing comes to mind. Hers either. Hello, Francine de Gregorio. It's good to have you. I guess our Tuesdays is old home week because everybody's used to having us on Tuesdays. And here's Lorraine. Hi, Lorraine. Good to have you. Angela Rick is with us. Oh, great, because we have a lot of things to talk about, and I really want you to drive the conversation. But anyway, so last night, Kamala Harris went on Rachel Maddow to discuss her new book, and Rachel asked Kamala about her VP pick. And I'm not going to tell you because I'm not sure that you saw it. If you saw it, don't tell the others, but I'm going to play it right now. Watch what happened last night. It's kind of shocking and new, but more of the same.
You say in the book really bluntly that your personal first choice for your running mate would have been Pete Buttigieg, and you praise him effusively. You say he would have been an ideal partner if I were a straight man. And you say effectively that demographically it was too much to ask of the American people to ask them to elect you with him as your running mate. I wonder if his reaction to that, since this part of the book has come out, if you've had any reflection on that, or I guess I'd ask you to just elaborate on that a little bit. It's hard to hear.
Yeah.
With you running as, you're the first woman elected vice president. You're a black woman and a South Asian woman elected to that high office, very nearly elected president. To say that he couldn't be on the ticket effectively because he was gay is hard to hear.
No. That's not what I said. That he couldn't be on the ticket because he is gay. My point, as I write in the book, is that I was clear that in 107 days, in one of the most hotly contested elections for president of the United States, against someone like Donald Trump who knows no floor, to be a black woman running for president of the United States and as a vice presidential running mate, a gay man, with the stakes being so high, it made me very sad, but I also realized it would be a real risk. No matter how, I've been an advocate and an ally of the LGBT community my entire life. So it wasn't about any prejudice on my part, but
that
we had such a short period of time, and the stakes were so high. I think Pete is a phenomenal public servant. And I think America is and would be ready for that. But when I had to make that decision with 2 weeks to go, and maybe I was being too cautious, I'll let our friends, we should all talk about that. Maybe I was. But that's the decision I made. And I, as with everything else in the book, I'm being very candid about that.
Yeah.
With a great deal of sadness about also the fact that it might have been a risk.
Okay. for those of you who need translation, because I do speak a little bit of Kamala, in the book, she said that she wanted Pete Buttigieg to be her vice president, but she didn't pick him because he was gay. And then when Rachel Maddow said, well, why did you say, why couldn't you pick him because he was gay? I don't understand. She says, oh, no, I didn't say I couldn't pick him because he was gay. I said I couldn't pick him because he was gay. I hope that clears it up for everybody. You have a lot of comments. I love when I show Kamala Harris clips because we wind up with a lot of comments, and it's so hard for me to work this damn thing. Hold on a second. Here it get the salad dressing. Quick, buy my book. Yeah. Yeah, she said she never said that, but then she said, as she wrote that in her book, it would have been a risk. Again, it was Trump's fault. Who won on first, what's on second, third base? I mean, did she just not say that she didn't pick him because he was gay? She said if she was a straight man, he would have been picked. But since she wasn't, he was too much of a risk. But that translates to I didn't pick him because he was gay. She didn't pick a gay man, but she picked a Hi, Tim on Tim. Oh my God, you're so funny. You don't sound like Kamala. You're way too coherent. You need to repeat the same word 50 times. I did. She didn't pick him because he was gay, but that's not what she said. She said she didn't pick him because he was gay, but she didn't say that she didn't pick him because he was gay. You got it? Hi, Ramon. It's so freaking ridiculous. It is. I don't understand it. You know, she wrote these lines. She wrote these words. She sat with her editor. You know, she didn't write the book, right? Because, because she could barely speak. How is she going to write? So she had plenty of time not to say that, but she said it. I thought Kamala was Indian. Yeah, I don't know. Hello, Andrew Dorman. Did I say hello to you already? Only one hi is her. Yeah. Quick, someone send me a school bus and a Venn diagram. Yeah. I mean, what the hell? It's just, now let's talk about this. Is this the identity politics running amok? Did this little clip, I know my answer, but I want to know from you. Did this little clip prove the point that the Democrats are prejudiced, misogynist, and maybe homophobic? Could it be? I think it did. Because if Pete Buttigieg was good enough to be a presidential candidate when she was a presidential candidate, if Pete Buttigieg was good enough to be the Secretary for Transportation, if Pete Buttigieg had her complete respect, as she claims, then who cares if Pete Buttigieg is gay? Why would America not vote for him as her running mate? What would the reason that the thing that was risky here, to be perfectly frank and clear, was not choosing Pete Buttigieg because he was gay. What was risky was putting a complete moron on the freaking ballot at the top of the ticket. That was risky. It was really risky for the Democrats to anoint her. It was really risky for the Democrats to take the person who was the border czar, who was named the border czar in great pomp and circumstance. And when she was asked if she'd ever been to the border, she said that she hadn't, and she didn't need to go to the border, and she hadn't gone to Europe, so that didn't make any difference, right? Maybe the risky thing was putting someone who had no idea what the F she was doing as AG, as senator, and then as vice president, at the top of your ticket as a presidential candidate. I'm just positing that out there and, seeing if I get any feedback from anybody that might agree with me. She had to think when asked what was in the book she allegedly wrote. Yeah. How do you say, I'm sorry, it's too risky for a gay man to be on my ticket, and think that somehow that's a compliment to Pete Buttigieg. So, if you want to extend that thought, is the reason that she didn't pick Stein because he was Jewish? And all that, anti-Jewish stuff was going on. Could that possibly be the case? Nixon said something similar about what he meant and what he really said. Yeah, he did. You're right about that. I don't understand it. She was a border czar, and 25 million people come over the border, and then they try to claim that she wasn't really the border czar. This is the problem with the Democrats right now. Okay, this is the problem with the Democrats. And I'm not going to say that the Republicans are doing a bang-up job of getting our popularity up, but I can say that the Republicans are delivering what was promised. And I think that that's what's most important to the American public. I think that as much as they want to say that Trump is violent and that MAGA is violent, the Charlie Kirk memorial and the aftermath of Charlie Kirk being assassinated, what we saw was conservatives praying, singing, coming together in a peaceful way to support Erica Kirk and the children and each other. Very unlike what happened when George Floyd was killed. There were the riots, the fire, and even then they told us, not to believe our lying eyes, as they stood in front of burning buildings and told us that the demonstration was mostly peaceful. So I think that the Democrats have a problem. I think the Republicans have a problem too. And I think that the problem with the Republicans is not necessarily strictly caused by Republicans. I think that the problem with the Republicans is caused by the news media, the fake news media, and the fact that, we talked about it yesterday, or was it the day before, with the autism announcement that I'm going to try not to use my hands, that, Trump and RFK make the connection with Harvard and Mount Sinai that Tylenol being used when you're pregnant and being given to babies could had a connection with autism rates going up. And the news media said, oh, no, keep taking your Tylenol. We know better. It's just is really, really unfortunate. Isn't it funny? The Democrat, liberals, leftists were yelling about Jimmy Kimmel's First Amendment rights, but they don't give a crap about Charlie Kirk being murdered, expressing his First Amendment rights. Well, we know that they're hypocrites, and that's a very good point. The other thing is that, tonight Jimmy Kimmel's going back on the air, and we talked about this yesterday. Supposedly it was the FCC that took him off the air, but now they're going back on the air. So are they thumbing their nose at the FCC? Or maybe the FCC never was involved in the first place? I think it's the latter. You would think that the gay running mate would have been the perfect pick because the left was all about that, right? Or are they using the gay community to divide us? I think that the thing is, if you're playing identity politics, that would have been a historic ticket. And she thought it was too risky. I would have said, as a political consultant, I would have done it because she needed a Hail Mary. The numbers for that administration was in the toilet. We knew that going in, and they're pretending like somehow or another that race was close. Trump won all 7 of the swing states and the popular vote. That hadn't been done in 40 years. So how could that have been close? But they're pretending because that's what they do, right? They cosplay and they want you to believe what they're telling you they are is what they are. Hello, Mickey Petrides. Good to have you. Hello, Lucille Chavon. Good to have you. Thanks for joining us tonight. We have a few things to talk about. We're just talking about Harris, and the fact that she couldn't pick Pete Buttigieg as her running mate because it was too risky. Please, the bureaucrats were running the country. They were paying Texas Hold'em with all the NGOs, etc. They just put people in there, including Biden, and they could control and just advance their ideology of the agenda. They really had no power to begin with. You're absolutely right about that. And, we knew that. But now we're seeing it, right? We're seeing through all of the smoke and the don't pay attention to the man behind the curtains. I'm the great and powerful Oz. Yeah, we're seeing through all of that. I know you heard what you thought I said, but what I said isn't what I meant. That's right. Absolutely. Absolutely. I heard his wife forgive the killer. Oh, absolutely. She did. She forgave the killer. And I didn't expect anything less, because if you are a disciple of Jesus, then you forgive the killer. You have no other choice. The problem with the Republicans is they always wind up shooting themselves in the proverbial foot. Expand on that, Howard. I mean, how are we doing it now? I think we need to talk about this. What are we doing to shoot ourselves in the foot? Because Americans had no faith in her running our country, no matter what she picked as her running mate. That is, Francine, that's absolutely correct. The risky thing was her. Anybody who she picked afterwards wouldn't have mattered. Right? It absolutely wouldn't have mattered, because she was the risk, and she should have never been picked in the first place. They should have had. They would have been wise to have a primary. FCC can't catch jammers on ham radio. You're right about that. Look. For them to make hay over it being the FCC, that was ridiculous. Sinclair is keeping Kimmel off the 200 TV stations. Kimmel will be on broadcast TV, but he's going to be off hundreds of local stations. Yeah, it's not only Sinclair, it's another one too that are keeping him off. And so Trump was right. Trump said that it had nothing to do with the FCC. It had everything to do with his rotten ratings and his lack of talent. She's better off keeping her mouth full. Oh, Mom! Because when she opens it, nothing but bullshit comes out. Oh, Mom, I love you, Mom. That's where I get it from, guys. You want to know? That's where I get it from. She said some nerve for and all her people under the bus. Oh, she's got some nerve throwing all her people under the bus since they put her there. She didn't earn that spot and that nomination. They put her there. She's unbelievable. She better go back to the rock that she crawled out from under. Well, listen, I say keep her out in public. Keep her out in public. Let her keep talking. I bet you Pete Buttigieg says the same exact thing. Let her keep talking. I bet you Gavin Newsom is going, hey, get out there. Keep talking. Everybody loves you. Everybody loves you. Keep talking, keep talking, keep talking. Because the more she talks, the more between her, AOC, and Jasmine Crockett, holy cow. And we're going to need Kamala out there, because Crockett is going to lose her seat, right? Because she got redistricted in Texas. So it'd be good, if Kamala takes, the place as a blabbermouth and as a lunatic and just what she is. Wait, somebody said I'm right. I want to read it. You're right, Letitia. All these idiots keep talking. You are correct, Ed. Jasmine Crockett. Just because you're committed a crime, you're not a criminal. Yeah, right. Exactly. But yet they called Trump a criminal and he didn't commit a crime. Isn't it interesting? Kimmel should have been fired years ago for doing blackface skits. Karl Malone, Oprah, Megyn Kelly, and Roseanne lost their shows for far less. Listen. He did those things, and some people thought they were funny. I didn't, but I wouldn't have. For me, I when I get offended or upset, or I don't like something, or if a joke doesn't land, and I don't think a comedian is particularly funny. What comedian I never thought was funny? Sam Kinison. I thought he was just weird, but a lot of people thought he was funny. I didn't try to get him canceled. I just didn't bother with him. I don't think Kimmel is funny. I think Jay Leno was funny. I think David Letterman was funny. I think that what's his name? Oh my God, the first talk show guy, Jack Parr was funny. I think that the late night talk show slot historically has been used to make people laugh after a tiring day of anxiety and, can I pay the bills, and I got to get up in the morning and put the kids and do this and do that, that late night, and Johnny Carson, hysterical. That late night slot was to make people laugh. And somehow or another, it has morphed into this oddly one-sided political commentary kind of slot. And I just don't know why anybody would want to watch that. Because if you're all wound up all day over social media, and over all the things you've got to do in the day, how the hell are you going to sleep comfortably? Maybe that's why we don't sleep. Well, I sleep like a baby because you know what I watch before I go to bed? I watch the Chateau Diaries about some chateau in France, and it's a nice little house and a whole bunch of people that live there. And a woman who is an opera singer is trying to save this ancient chateau that was built in the 1500s, and she's using YouTube to do it. So that's what I watch, and it's really nice. Talk texting, it goes haywire. That's fine. I think that I'm speaking Debbie Lobato. I might be able to decipher. George Carlin was funny and way before his time, absolutely. And the things he said that was on the money. Next Star and Sinclair, not Aaron Kimmel. That's it. I mean, you don't like somebody, don't watch. It was his joke a poor joke? Yes. What he said about Trump, there was a mix-up. Clearly, Trump didn't hear the reporter who asked him. It said, "I'm sorry about your friend," and Trump answered by talking about the ballroom. But Kimmel made fun of that, and the whole thing was just uncomfortable. I mean, for Kimmel to say that the kid was MAGA and that we were trying to say that he wasn't was just ridiculous. We know his father was, but the kid wasn't. Today's restaurant people are more afraid of health department than radio and TV people are afraid of the FCC. You're absolutely right. Absolutely right. All right, listen, we got 22 minutes already passed. Let me get to our next clip. This is the, oh my gosh. Okay, so Donald Trump had a hard time at the UN. Watch.
You're going to push Zelensky for peace, President Trump.
President Trump. Schumer.
Thank you very much. Very much appreciated. And I don't mind making this speech without a teleprompter, because the teleprompter is not working. I feel very happy to be up here with you nevertheless, and that way you speak more from the heart. I can only say that whoever's operating this teleprompter is in big trouble. I ended 7 wars, dealt with the leaders of each and every one of these countries, and never even received a phone call from the United Nations offering to help in finalizing the deal. All I got from the United Nations was an escalator that on the way up stopped right in the middle. If the First Lady wasn't in great shape, she would have fallen, but she's in great shape. We're both in good shape. We both stood. And then a teleprompter that didn't work. These are the 2 things I got from the United Nations: a bad escalator and a bad teleprompter.
Can I just remind you of something? What would have happened if that was Joe Biden? What would he have done when that escalator stopped? God bless the First Lady. She looked around to see what was going on, make sure all was well, and she walked up those stairs in 6-inch heels. And he walked up as well. And then every member of his entourage walked up, including his press secretary in heels. So, I mean, that's a class act. What would Biden have done? He'd still be standing there waiting for it to move. Absolutely, he would. And do you think that Biden could have made a speech without a teleprompter or made those jokes? I mean, obviously, Trump's speech had been written, approved, and in the books the night before. But somehow he worked into his speech the teleprompter and escalator situation. Do you think Joe Biden could have done that? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. What a disgrace. They did it on purpose. Yes, we're going to talk about the SIM cards. I have that as a clip next, but I want to talk about also what Trump had said when he was in the UN and part of his speech. But I don't know. Do you think that they did it on purpose? If they did, I mean, it was pointless. What did they think they were going to do? Embarrass him? What did they think he was going to fall, tumble? What? The man works 20 hours a day. He can outsmart all of them still. With no sleep, he can outsmart every single one of those children. All right, listen to what he had to say about he schooled the other countries and the UN. Watch.
Is the number one political issue of our time, the crisis of uncontrolled migration. It's uncontrolled. Your countries are being ruined. The United Nations is funding an assault on Western countries and their borders. In 2024, the UN budgeted $372 million in cash assistance to support an estimated 624,000 migrants journeying into the United States. In the United States, we reject the idea that mass numbers of people from foreign lands can be permitted to travel halfway around the world, trample our borders, violate our sovereignty, cause unmitigated crime, and deplete our social safety net. We have reasserted that America belongs to the American people, and I encourage all countries to take their own stand in defense of their citizens as well. And while we will always have a big heart for places and people that are struggling and truly compassionate, answers will be given. We have to solve the problem, and we have to solve it in their countries, not create new problems in our countries. And we are very helpful to a lot of countries that are just not able to send their people anymore. They used to send them to us in caravans of 25, 30,000 people each. These massive caravans of people pouring into our country, totally unchecked and unvetted. But not anymore. According to the Council of Europe in 2024, almost 50% of inmates in German prisons were foreign nationals or migrants. In Austria, the number was 53% of the people in prisons were from places that weren't from where they are now. In Greece, the number was 54%, and in Switzerland, beautiful Switzerland, 72% of the people in prisons are from outside of Switzerland. When your prisons are filled with so-called asylum seekers who repaid kindness, and that's what they did, they repaid kindness with crime. It's time to end the failed experiment of open borders. You have to end it now. See, I can tell you, I'm really good at this stuff. Your countries are going to hell. In America, we've taken bold action to swiftly shut down uncontrolled migration. Once we started detaining and deporting everyone who crossed the border and removing illegal aliens from the United States, they simply stopped coming. They're not coming anymore.
I'm really good at this stuff. Yeah, he is. Yeah, he is. And wow. I mean, could you believe those stats? More than half of the people in the jails in those countries are from foreign countries. And he's right. They repaid kindness with crime. I mean, they bit the hand that fed them. So what the hell? What kind of an experiment was this? This was stupid. Why do we need the United Nations if everybody's going to be homogenized and we're all going to be blended together, which is what the globalists want, right? Get rid of the UN. But the UN was funding that crazy mass migration. Love our president. Thank God for him. I'm not kidding. Give thanks to him every day. Yes. 3 cheers, says Josephine. It's so hard to read the comments without my mouse. He could find a cure for cancer and they would blame him for putting doctors out of work. You're absolutely right. That's a perfect analogy. Christians are now all white supremacists. Oh, yes, of course we are. Of course we are. And then he talked about London and Sharia law. Oh my! I haven't heard anything yet, but I'm sure we're going to hear all about it from mainstream media. Oh my gosh, he's Islamophobic. Yeah, love our president. Me too. There are no non-white Christians. Of course there are. What are you talking about? There's plenty of Africans that are not white. There are Iranians that are not white that are Christian. There's plenty of non-white Christians, unless you're being facetious. I don't know. As Guffel says, we don't deserve him. We really don't. Okay, so lastly, we got an issue. And thank God Kash Patel is on it. Watch.
Well, Rosanna and Kurt, some security experts are saying they've never seen a network as extensive as this before. And this morning, the Secret Service revealing a major security bust right here in New York, a covert network of devices capable of shutting down cell service right as the UN General Assembly is underway. Unclear if those two things are connected, but it is a possibility. And we have brand new images into our newsroom this morning. These are the devices federal agents say could have disabled cell towers and essentially shut down the cellular network in New York City. That's worth repeating. Federal agents this morning announcing they located multiple devices capable of shutting down cell service in the city. Massive implications, of course. Here are the details as we know them. Inside several locations, agents found thousands of networked cellular devices. That's how they describe them, concentrated within 35 miles of the UN General Assembly, of course, now underway here in New York. President Trump in the city this morning. Officials say the system allowed anonymous, encrypted communications between criminal and foreign actors and could have caused massive disruption to government and emergency communications. Some experts say this network could have sent as many as 1 million text messages a minute, potentially disrupting all kinds of issues here. The special agent in charge of the Secret Service New York field actually put out a video just a few minutes ago, and take a look at what he says here.
This network had the potential to disable cell phone towers and essentially shut down the cellular network in New York City. These devices were concentrated within 35 miles of the global meeting of the United Nations General Assembly, now underway in New York City. Given the timing, location, and proximity, and potential for significant disruptions to the New York telecom system, we moved quickly to disrupt this network.
And again, that is the special agent in charge of the New York field office of the Secret Service. So how did this all start? The Secret Service says the investigation actually began in the spring, so a couple months ago, after what they described as imminent telecommunications threats were directed at senior U.S. officials. Well, with the help from federal, state, and local partners, including the NYPD, the network was traced to the tri-state area. A forensic examination of data equivalent to about 100,000 cell phones now underway. What does that mean? It means they're taking a look at 100,000 cell phones, trying to get to the bottom of this thing. The early analysis showing links between foreign networks and individuals already known to federal law enforcement. Now, at this point, we want to emphasize no arrests have been announced. Possible they could have happened, not yet been made public. The agency calls this an open and active investigation. Again, just to recap, because I know it's a lot of information that we're giving you here. The Secret Service dismantled a massive hidden telecom network near the United Nations, near New York City, that could have crippled New York cell service. And now investigators are racing to find out who built it and then why they built it. Kurt and Rosanna, back over to you.
Okay, so we have major issues. Yep, cyber attacks are a big threat. They are. The FCC is supposed to do that. Well, the Secret Service did, and the FBI and NYPD. And all hats off to NYPD. And SWAT calls are dangerous too. Yeah, so something big is going on here, and we all need to be ready. I'm going to say it again and again and again. We all need to be ready. Everybody has to be vigilant. Everybody needs to be ready. And thank God we have Trump, because he's stopping it in his tracks. The same way as the caravans were coming in time for 2020, and Trump saw them and stopped them. And then that ruined all of the big power brokers' plan to get everybody counted in the census so that the Democrats could have more congressional seats, and that they would wind up keeping the presidency forevermore. He stopped it. He stopped it in its tracks, and now he's stopping this. So please be vigilant. We've gone over again tonight. I want to thank you all for joining me. Those of you who are coming on every night, I love you. Thank you so much. Those of you who could only make it once in a while, I still love you, and I thank you very much. Please remember to like and subscribe, especially on YouTube. And let's see what tomorrow's news has to bring. Until then, I'm Letitia Romero, and this is Let's Talk News. See you tomorrow.